Now this is the video for you if you want to learn how to make a hydrangea wreath to hang on your front door or perhaps indoors. My name's Julie from Julie Davis Flower Workshops and Florist, the online flower arranging classes. I'm going to be making my wreath using one of these pre-made grapevine wreath bases, and I'm guessing this one's about 30 centimetres wide. If you're interested in sourcing something similar, I'll leave a link to a similar one in the description underneath this video. But if you've got a garden and you've got trailing clematis or Virginia creeper vine that you want to cut down, you could perhaps make your own wreath form, and I will leave a link to one of my previous videos up in the cards above, and if I forget I'll put that down in the description box as well. Oh, now spoiler alert, if your hydrangeas have got this dry and crispy out in your garden, they're not going to be any good for your wreath because they are just going to decay really quickly. What you need to be doing is picking your hydrangea when they're plentiful right at the end of the summer into early autumn and let them dry in a small quantity of water. And I'll see if I can find a video of mine where I've shown you the exact technique. I can't remember whether I posted one here on YouTube or whether it's in my free Facebook group, Flower Start World. So if you're not already a member of my Facebook group, do check out the joining details down the description box below. It's free to join, you just need to click the link. And it's a beautiful winter's day here in the southeast of England, but I'm going to move indoors because the one vital ingredient for making my wreath is going to be using my hot glue gun. As you can see, this door wreath is quite neat and compact and it's been bound over by string. And what I've decided to do is to take the string off and everything will relax a little bit, and that will give me something slightly larger to work with. And this is what it looks like when the string has been taken off. So you just need to bear in mind that everything is a little bit loose, so a little bit delicate. And if I feel that the wreath is going to not have the robustness that I want, I could then bind the string back on, but do it slightly looser in order that I keep the shape and size of the wreath, but just so the little bits on the end don't become too fly away. So let's talk about my hydrangeas. So I have got actually one variety of hydrangea, but in two separate colourways. I've got a pinky tone here and the greenish hydrangea. So these hydrangeas, I know they're the same variety because I picked them from my sister's garden. This one was picked at the end of last summer, and this one was probably about 2 or 3 years old. And what happens with your hydrangeas over time is the hydrangeas will lose their colour, so they just get naturally bleached through. And to perk these up a little bit, I have spray painted them with I think 2 or 3 shades of pink and a little bit of white, and it just brings back a little bit of that colour. So I'm going to use up these colourful hydrangea first, and then if I need some more I'll start adding the green, but for the moment I'm really enjoying the natural green colour in my vase at home, and when that fades I'll then add in a little extra colour with my spray paints again. I'm not sure whether I got a video on YouTube that shows that process, but I've definitely got one in my free Facebook group, so don't forget to check that out. Now the one thing you've probably noticed is these hydrangea heads are huge, and I could make a really big wreath by putting in the flower heads as they naturally occur, but I think that's just going to be a little bit too cumbersome. So what I like to do is to turn my hydrangea head upside down and pull it apart with these individual florets, a bit like when you cut up a head of broccoli. Now I don't know whether you noticed there that these have been in the vase for so long, as I touch them there's a slight shimmer of dust, so it's always a good idea when you've got dried flowers to either blast them with your hairdryer or just give them a really good shake from time to time. So because these flower heads are quite brittle, I can just pull them apart with my fingers. If you were using... And what I like to do first of all is just sort of place them and just see, is that the sort of size that I want? And I think that does look quite a good size. So they're probably the size of the palm of my hand. I won't crush them in my hand, but they are quite small. So that one big flower head, I've managed to get 5 individual pieces that I can add to my wreath form. Now if you had long stems on here, the temptation might be just to slide them all into your wreath base and hope for the best. but I know that's going to fall apart. So what I'm going to do is to put a trail of hot glue along the stem of the hydrangea and then slide those into my wreath. So just taking care not to burn myself, a little bit of hot glue across that top edge, and then gently push that into the body of the wreath frame. And then where I've got the bushy heads here, I want to make sure you can't see any of that glue. So I'm going to work my way around the wreath in the same direction until I get right the way around to the beginning again. And to give really good coverage, I'm going to make sure I put some flower heads on the top face of the wreath, some of them coming off to the side a little bit, and some of them coming onto the inside of the wreath, giving it more of a three-dimensional form rather than just a wreath that looks like a cake with all the flower heads right on the top. What you'll find is the hot glue gun dries really quickly, but you will need to make sure the flower heads have adhered a little bit. So without crushing them, sort of working your fingers down just to make sure there's a firm grip. But as you work, because the flower heads are a little bit brittle, you'll find that you will get some breakages. And always place them first. Get an idea of where you want to put them before you start gluing. So for comparison, you can see that my one single flower head, it's about as big as my outstretched hand, has been divided up and now looks as if it's 2 flower heads worth. So you'll find you won't need so many flower heads if you do break them down, and it'll give you a much nicer size rather than having a very heavy looking wreath. So I've managed to get almost all the way around my wreath frame, and I can't quite decide whether to add in the green at the top or whether to perhaps put a ribbon tie hang there to close the gap a little bit. What I'll probably do is hang it up on my door and see what looks best. But before I do that, I will give everything a bit of a shake just to make sure I don't need to do any more gluing. And then to blend in that extra green, I'm just going to go back and dot some of the green in much smaller florets around the rest of the wreath so it looks more purposeful rather than a sign that I ran out of materials part way round. What do you reckon? Here is my finished door wreath all ready for hanging, but a word of caution. If you hang this up outdoors, do make sure it's in a sheltered position. So I have got a north facing front door with a porch over the top, so it's not going to get battered by the rain or bleached by the sun. And if you decide to hang it up indoors, you will find that a little bit of shedding occurs if you knock into your wreath. I'd love to know if you decide to give this project a go, and if you want any help and assistance, leave me a comment and I'll come back to you. Don't forget to like this video, share it with a friend, and if you haven't done already, subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell and then you'll never miss when I upload a new video. That's all from me for now, and I'll see you next time.